What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Thunder Digest video recap. I am Brady Trantham, host of the Peak and Roll podcast, and I'm sure you've seen me on a few of these other Thunder Digest video recaps on our YouTube channel. So thank you, everybody, for subscribing and joining along with the fun. But tonight certainly wasn't really fun for the Thunder. They blew quite the opportunity to go 2-0 on a road trip that a lot of people probably thought that if they were going to win one, it was going to be tonight, simply because Boston is so shorthanded with injuries. Gordon Hayward, everybody knows about. Marcus Smart, Kyrie Irving with his second opinion on his knee that he may or may not be able to come back, and of course Jaylen Brown is still in concussion protocol. It was quite the opportunity for the Thunder to get a win on the road against a team that is currently second in the Eastern Conference standings. While they're not at full strength, it's still a heavy task to beat a Brad Stevens coach team. They always play well. They're extremely well coached, and they certainly played like that down the stretch, where the Thunder just seemed to crumble as soon as winning time kind of came about, which was the opposite of what we saw the other day with the Toronto game, where Russell Westbrook and the entire team just played incredibly well on both ends of the floor and closed out a game in a hostile environment, hostile arena against the maybe one of the better teams in the NBA in the Toronto Raptors. The Thunder, I think, ended up shooting 10 of 27 from the three-point line, but it took two made three-pointers by Carmelo Anthony, a made three-pointer by Russell Westbrook, and a made three-pointer by Corey Brewer, I believe, in the final 2 minutes for that number to get to 10 of 27. So that alone should just tell you that offensively the Thunder's shot just was not falling tonight. A lot of that has to go to credit to Boston's defense for being pesky, getting up into shooters' faces, making things uncomfortable for guys like Russ and Paul, especially Paul George, who was a little sluggish early on and got kind of lost in the middle of the game. Finished with an okay stat line, but not as well as he had been playing prior to the All-Star break. Paul George continues to struggle offensively for this team. But it's a game that, you see this every once in a while, where a team will blow a lead like this in a game that they should have won. Carmelo Anthony missing those two huge free throws was really inexcusable. He said as much in the post game, where he said, usually 9 times out of 10, I hit those free throws and we walk out of here with a win, and that's certainly the case, and it wasn't the case tonight. But you see teams like this, you see games like this where teams lose, and not only does their opponent beat them on that particular night, but they're able to beat them the following night when they're playing somebody else, because the team that lost hangs their head so much. And for the Thunder, they get 2 days off. They return to Oklahoma City, and Friday night at Chesapeake Energy Arena, they'll take on the Miami Heat. So they have to turn right around and just forget about it and just try to focus on, you went 1-2 on a pretty tough Eastern Conference road trip. You beat the best team in the Eastern Conference fairly handily. There is a lot of positives to bring from this road trip, and winning 6 out of 7 games in the NBA is nothing to sneeze at. They've played particularly well since adding Corey Brewer to the starting 5, and you just got to keep moving on and improve as much as you can possibly, because if there's another positive to take from this loss, it's that Portland lost tonight, Utah lost tonight, so there wasn't that much ground lost in terms of the Western Conference standings. So the Thunder still have a lot of their goals ahead of them to basically grasp for themselves. If they turn right around and beat a pretty solid 8th-seeded currently in the Eastern Conference Miami Heat squad, then we're all back to everybody's excited about this team. Everybody's excited about the potential of this team in the postseason, a team that a lot of people believe is still built for the postseason. Final stat lines weren't really impressive. I don't really feel like going through them. Russell Westbrook did not get a triple-double. He ended up, I believe he had 5 triple-doubles going into tonight. I think he finished with double-digit points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. He had 5 turnovers. Kind of a weird game for him, but as we've seen with Russell Westbrook, as Russell Westbrook goes, so do the Thunder. And because Russell kind of had an up-and-down game, both ends of the floor, a little sloppy here and there with some turnovers, the Thunder kind of went that way themselves. Paul George, like I said, it took him a while to kind of get going. His shot kind of fell towards the end of the game. Same thing with Melo. He hit those 2 big three-pointers in the final 2 minutes, which a lot of people, and myself included, assumed, okay, this is where the Thunder are just going to pull away from just pretty much an outmanned Boston squad. But again, credit to Boston. Brad Stevens gets his guys to buy in, and Tonight I recorded a Peek and Roll podcast with Snotty Drippin, also known as by his actual name, Mr. James Hollis. Check it out. I just uploaded it, so it should be up by the time this is up on YouTube. Check that out, where we kind of talked about how Brad Stevens does a fantastic job of getting guys like that you saw tonight playing against the Thunder, getting those guys to buy into just never giving up. And I think this is like the 8th game that Boston has won where in the final minutes their opponent had a 90% or more chance or probability to win that game. And the Thunder, if you remember back in November, had a kind of the same scenario. I believe they had a 94% probability chance to win that game in the final 2 minutes, and then Al Horford just starts raining threes and the Thunder had no chance. They lost that game. And tonight it was just a different case of the Thunder collapsing in a different way, where they couldn't hit free throws, they couldn't hit clutch shots down the stretch offensively, and they could not close out on 3-point shooters, allowing guys like Rozier and Marcus Morris to hit big time shots. So once again, the Thunder lose 100 to 99 to the Boston Celtics. They've got to turn right around Friday evening, 7 o'clock in Oklahoma City against the Miami Heat. And if they're going to try and steal that 3 seed from Portland, they've got to turn right around, have 2 good days of rest and practice, and turn around and beat the Miami Heat. Will that happen? It's anybody's good guess. Just when you think you can pinpoint where this team is, we should all have learned that lesson by now. Just when you think you can pinpoint where this team is, they turn right around and just show you you're wrong. So we will see what type of Thunder team will play on Friday night, and hopefully it's an entertaining one, because tonight was kind of a hard game to watch for a lot of other reasons other than the final score. But once again, for the Thunder Digest video recap, I am Brady Trantham. Check us out on ThunderDigest.com. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. We just jumped over 300 this morning. We'd love to get to 500 by the end of the regular season. That would help us out a ton. Check us out on our 2 podcasts, the G League podcast, which Eric G and I will be recording one tomorrow. We'll be talking about, I'm sure, this Thunder game and their Thunder road trip, as well as a lot of NBA topics like Ty Lue stepping away from coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers, and a slew of other NBA topics that I'm excited to talk about. And then also my podcast, Peek and Roll, trying to do a little bit more of those more frequently than I have been in the last month or so, just having to catch up on a lot of other life stuff. But I'm finally all caught up, ready to go into the postseason. Hopefully the Thunder have a good showing to end out the regular season, a lot of cool things that we could talk about, and then hopefully they have a good showing in the postseason so I can continue to talk to you guys. But again, for ThunderDigest.com, my name is Brady Trantham. Thunder up, everybody.